All right, everybody, we're back out in the garage again today. We're going to be working on the BMW. As you can see, we got a little F1 sprint race going on there, Sao Paulo. So we got that on, and now we're going to dive into what we're doing on the BMW. If you're wondering, there's a couple pieces of evidence right there as to what we might be doing, in addition to the fact we're at the back of the car. Those that don't know, that is what happens when you have a rear diff bushing that decides it don't want to play anymore. It just got super brittle. I noticed the bottom part was cracking. Then I jacked the car up and realized, what was all going on there. And as I left it overnight, these pieces fell out because of the way the pressure is different on it. So this stuff just all fell out on its own accord. And as you can see, it's basically, the diff is resting on the bolt because the bushing is gone. So that's what we're gonna do today. Let me get some tools, let me get some stuff going. Get set up, and we'll get to work on that kind of while we're watching the sprint race, which is red flagged right now because of a wreck. But anyway, let's get into it. All right, everybody, here's a little closer look. So you can see there's that bolt going through there. This has sagged down to the point where that axle is kind of touching the exhaust a little bit, and then resting on that bolt, I think. So what we're gonna have to do is I got my jack set up here. I got my tools. These are 19 millimeter is what the size is, and it's just a bolt that goes through with a nut on the back. So that's how I got that going. I'm gonna go ahead and jack this up a little bit so that I can get the pressure off of the bolt and support the diff, and then work on getting that bolt out. What I'm hoping is that this will sag down just enough that I can get the new part in. I'll have to show you the new stuff once we get to that point, but let me see if I can get this out and get this old bushing out of here. All right, there you go. You see that's out. Here's the bolt. Just, 2 washers and whatever. Mine was pretty darn tight, but got it out, no issue there. So now all I gotta do is finish getting the rest of this out, which you can see some of this just, you can just like peel it out of here. So I'm thinking the getting it out part is not gonna be super hard, but I gotta drop it back down because it's not just like popping out really per se. And this is one of those ones that's got a ridge on this side, so it has to come towards me. The other side doesn't. The new one I got is a little different design, but still it's a race bushing, so it's pretty hard, polyurethane type stuff. This one just, I don't know if this was some Chinese cheap crap or if it's just what happens. We got this car 5 years ago, and this was in there, and we looked at it before and it seemed fine. So I don't know, I guess it's just maybe it's Florida, maybe it's just the lifespan of these things. I don't know. But I'm gonna go ahead now and start lowering down the diff and see if I can get it down low enough to get clearance past the bracket to get this out and get the new one in without having to take a bunch of other stuff off. I know I'm gonna hit the exhaust, so I don't know, I may get a jack stand or something and pop this off and lower it down some. All you gotta do is go after that little, where is it? Yeah, right there is the kind of the holder for it. So I might be able to pop that off, which is a pain, but if I do that, then I might be able to get the exhaust to sag down, put it on a jack stand and let it sit there while I lower this. But first step is I'm gonna go ahead and lower this down and see if I can get the clearance I need. Okay, I lowered this jack down to where it stopped and then just went back up so it's touching it. So this is where I can get without having to do something else. So as you can see, that's not good enough. I can start to see this piece here in the middle, the supports, but I can't get this out, and I won't be able to get the new one in, obviously, with that much of the bracket still covered. So like I said, the axle is hitting the exhaust over here. So I think I'm gonna have to drop the exhaust down for sure, and see what's going on. Just keep going. I don't want to take out too much, but I mean, I have seen people online say they have to take out this bottom bolt on the shocks to allow it to sag down enough. And then some people have had to loosen / take out the subframe bolts up on in front of the rear tires. So I'm gonna work on this a little bit, see what I can do with the exhaust to get it down, see if that's what's binding it up or if there's something else. So let me work on getting that exhaust dropped down a little bit. All right guys, here's what we're gonna do. So while this mount in the back here is what holds the back of the diff, it's also mounted in the front. There is a bolt right there that bolts it to the subframe, which you can see the front of there. And then there is a bolt right up there. It's back in there that also does that. So there's 4 of them, you know, that one on top right up there, which you can see right in the middle of the screen. The front one there. So that's both sides. So what I'm going to do, because as I let this thing sag, you can see it's kind of trying to twist the subframe. And truthfully, I don't want to drop everything. I just want the back to come down, you know, the diff to come down. And as you can see, there is a little bit of room for the drive shaft to come down too. So that's not going to bind or hit. What I need to do is kind of drop the entire diff. So I'm going to go ahead and get, like I said, there's a bolt like right up there. Try to get it for you. Yeah, right there. And then the bolt that's up there. Sorry, I blocked my light, but that one right there. And I'm going to undo those on both sides. That should allow the whole diff to drop down, which should allow me to get that bushing out without having to undo subframe bolts and some of that other stuff. So I'm going to attack it that way. Let me see if I can get my wrenches and stuff up there and bust these things loose, see how tight they are. All right, everybody, here we go. So these are the 4 bolts. That's 3 of them. The other one's over there. They are also 19 millimeters. So all this can be done with a 19 millimeter pretty much. Other than the way I dropped this exhaust, because ours is an aftermarket kind of homemade deal. So you can see there's no brakes in it all the way up to the friggin' motor, all the way back to here. So I took off, where is it? You know, right there is a support. And then instead of trying to take this support that's up underneath over here off, I'll get to it eventually. Anyway, there's a support over there. Instead of taking that off, I just unscrewed these, and that lets it drop down. Easier in my situation. Yours may be better to just take the hook off. I don't know. If you can unbolt your exhaust anywhere past the cats, do that. It's much easier if this is out of the way. Regardless, we got victory. So here is the, we dropped it all the way down to where we got clearance. And when we did that, this piece just fell right out. That's the middle piece. So that fell out. And then here is the bushing, which, as you can see, is, I mean, just crumbling to pieces as I pull it out. So there we go. Bushing removed. I'll see, just got to brush some of that out. But there we go. I'll clean it out with a little degreaser, but there's that old bushing, pieces, parts, all out. Yeah, that thing was done. So now we get to move to the putting together piece, but that's not gonna happen until after I eat some food. So yeah, you don't have to undo anything really, other than let your exhaust come down, sag, whatever you need to do. so your axle doesn't hit it. And then undo those 4 bolts so your diff comes straight down. Again, there's nothing's binding over there either. So this is the way it works for me. Like I said, I saw other people take a lot more crap off, drop the whole subframe, bunch of other stuff. Now granted, they ended up doing subframe bushings later, but yeah, this seems to be the easy way. Granted, again, the bolts up on top of the diff were pretty tight. I had to use the old double wrench trick to get them, but it's like once they came loose, it's backing them out with my fingers. So really wasn't that hard. The hardest part was I did it backwards. Kind of what I should have done is got in there, taken those bolts out, then sagged the exhaust, taken this bolt for the bushing out, and then dropped everything down. But since I kind of did it backwards, it was a touch harder. So in the future, I would recommend support the diff. Well, first of all, break all 4 of those diff bolts loose, and so that you can get, start to back them out with your fingers. Then put the jack under here, support the diff, undo the diff bushing bolt, get that out of the way, and then you can just drop this down and do it. So I'd be able to do this a lot faster next time because I figured out what works for me anyway. So anyway, now we get to go ahead and put it all back together after a sandwich. All right, everybody, back from lunch. Had some Jersey Mikes. We got the Georgia game on. They seem to be kicking butt here. I think it's like 40-7 or something. Anyway, let's get back to what we were doing. So now, like I said, we got the old one out. That's the aftermath of that thing. Yeah, definitely done. Where we're going with this is the one I picked anyway. This is the PowerFlex Black series. So it's supposed to be more of the kind of racing one, real stiff. So we're gonna go that way. And this is what they send you. So this particular one comes, they got the, there's your, your barcode if you want that. But this is in 2 separate pieces. So one goes in from the front, one goes from the back. Then you get these big washers. They fit in there and they're flush. And then you use your bolt. So this, hopefully, you see that fits in there. Then this one will go on here. So that's the way that all works. You got it in the middle. But your grease that goes with it that they send you. So we'll work on all of that. But basically, that's all we got to do is put those, 5 pieces together. And then we're reusing our old bolt. So there's the bolt. And we'll tighten all that stuff back down and we'll be in business. So let's get to work on putting that in. Okay, we're back under here. And I got the first piece in. So I put a little bit of a, did basically what I did here. Put some grease around the edges of that, shoved it in the hole, put some grease on the metal piece in the middle, put that in. So that's pushed all the way in until it's flat flush with the back side of the bushing. And now I've put some grease on there. So it's in the middle, on the sides, in the hole everywhere. So all of these places are going to be touching. And there's a little bit left I'll put probably on the back side here. So just so we don't have any squeaking or anything with those big washers. But yeah, now I just got to shove this in here without shoving that out the back, so that'll be a 2-handed job. And then we'll get the washers on and the bolt ready to go, and we'll jack this back up into here and get it all lined up. So, all right, let me get this put in, and then we'll go from there. All right, gang, there it is. Basically what I had to do, put all the pieces together, obviously, and then I used a pair of channel locks to kind of hold it in place, since I'm out here kind of doing this by myself, but because my son's at work today. So anyway, I held all that in place with a pair of channel locks down from the bottom, just so that as I went up, it didn't like shove stuff out of the way, and everything stayed lined up. As you can see, I'm a little bit little bit crooked right there, but we'll get the bolt and stuff and we'll wiggle this puppy. It moves pretty good. Just wiggle the jack and stuff and it moves around. So we'll get that done, and then once we've done that, we'll go back with the other bolts. So let me see if I can get the bolt in through this bushing, and then we'll move on to the replacing the bolts that hold the diff to the subframe. All right, folks, here you go. Just kind of wiggled it around over there, and using the jack to hold the weight, and then wiggle it some. Got the bolt in. It's in there now. It's just finger tight. So we'll leave it like that for now until we get these other the bolts up here and stuff done. So I got to start working on trying to put those in. As you can see, my light is about to die. That's why it was flashing. So let me swap out to a different light, and Costco purchase on the lights there, and then we'll see if we can get some of these other bolts threaded in and button this thing up. All right, everybody, back. So I told you what I was going to do was replace all 4 of those bolts. So the one right there, and then the one up here. Trying to work my lights. Okay. Yeah, the one right up there. Somewhere. Where the heck is it? Anyway, I told you I was going to work on those, and I did that. So that's why I was trying to find where that bolt was up there for you, but I keep struggling to show it to you. There it is, in the middle of the screen. It's not working. Anyway, those 4 bolts, I got them all back in. Kind of a pain in the butt. You got to jockey this thing around. I found getting the back ones in was easier than the front ones. The front ones were kind of a pain because of just the weight of the drive shaft and stuff. So maybe if you disconnect the drive shaft, it would work better for you. But this is all in. That's all in. Everything's tightened up. I put that exhaust hanger thing, which is how our car is set up, back together, and then bolted these things back so the muffler's held up. So really that's it. Everything's done. That's in. All buttoned back up. The rear tires are off because just gave me more room to wiggle around, but I'll put those back on. Now what I'm going to do though is I'm going to do a diff fluid change, because we did that about 5 years ago when we got the car. I can't remember if we put the right stuff in because we were kind of new to the BMWs, and this one is a LSD as far as I know, and I don't think we put LSD fluid in it. But I can't remember if we put the added, I just can't remember. So we're going to swap it out. So that's the next task, but I do need to get the front of the car up in the air so that this thing drains and fills properly. So let me jack the front up, and then we'll get to doing the fluid while we're back here messing with diff stuff. All right, everybody, here we are with the next phase of this thing. We've got our new fluid. This is for LSDs from Liquid Moly. And this kit also came with 2 new plugs or whatever, with gaskets and everything. So really all you need for this is a place to drain it, obviously. I grabbed this pump at Harbor Freight just because the last one I had, I think I lost this little tube into some kind of thing of oil or something. Anyway, I got a new one of those, and then you just need a 12mm Allen. That's what these are. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's go back there and get this thing started. All right, everybody, here's where we're at underneath the diff. Issue is the old plugs here are actually a different size. They're a 10mm instead of a 12. The other problem is, if you can see, this is kind of tight right here where you hit the spare tire thing. So this one works because it's short. This one, which is the other one I have, doesn't, because it's so long. So it absolutely will not fit. So because of that, see, it just won't work. Now, this is fine for taking it out because I have the short one for a 10mm. I do not have a short 12 mil. So putting the other one back in is going to be more of a challenge. So I'll have to see what I got to do. Maybe go buy a tool. I don't know. So for now though, we can get this out. Undo the top one first. That way you know you can fill it back up, which that's already loose. Now we'll do the bottom one and drop all the fluid out. All right, folks, here we go. Fluid's coming out. It looks really good. Like I said, it's been in, we put it in here about 4 years ago, I think. And to be honest, it doesn't have that many miles on it. I mean, I don't know, maybe 10,000 or something like that. But while I'm back here while I'm doing this, I figured it's a good time to go ahead and swap it out and make sure I put some good stuff that's made for an LSD, which is what this is supposed to be. So there you go. We're just gonna let that drain. I'll get the top bolt out too, and then you know, because there's the plug that came out. I'll take the top one out, take those over to the bench, make sure they all look like the other ones, and then we'll put the bottom plug back in and work on pumping the new fluid into the top. All right, so this is the first time I've seen this. As I got ready to do this, I thought I was gonna have to use this pump, but this comes with like this tube in it. And it's like stuck to the bottom of the cap. So you just pull up this tube and then, yeah. So we'll see if we can get that to work for us. But that's where we're at. We're gonna go put the new fluid in. Here we go. All right, well, surprisingly that worked. Obviously I didn't do it with it hanging down like this the whole time, but I put it in and started squeezing on it, got it going, and then I was able to wiggle it up and around and into this area up in here and get it so that the bottle was just far enough up that all the fluid came down to the bottom. I had a little bit of a drippage come by the tube, but not much. I mean, a little tiny bit right there. So yeah, we got the whole thing in. Now we're going to get the second bottle, start putting that in until it comes out of the top hole, and then we're done. All right, everybody, I did not have the right size, or well, like a short Allen key that was going to work because it kept hitting the spare tire. So what I did, I found this little bolt, a couple nuts. That nut is exactly the size I need. So now I can just stick this in the hole and basically use this as my Allen key with the ratchet. So let me get that set up, and then we'll tighten that top plug, I guess we'll call it, because I got the fluid in there to the point which it started to run out. So that's where full is. So let's get that tight. There you go. That's my, I got it in there. So now all I gotta do is take my ratchet and stick that on there, and then I can tighten that up. There we go. That's tight. That comes out. So there's a little hack in case you don't have the right Allen key. You can kind of make one when you get to these big ones like this. So that's that. Buttoned all up. You can see my little puddle there where it started to overflow, which meant it was full. So we're gonna say this is all done. And that's the end of this project. We'll go test drive it and all that, but yeah, new bushing over here. You know, that PowerFlex Black Series racing bushing. Everything's all buttoned up. New diff fluid. I think we'll say we're definitely good with this particular project, and we'll have to move on to whatever else we get ready to do. That's the thing with these old cars, there's always a little bit of something. The other thing I found, I'll tell you, so that cable right there that goes back here to the speed sensor had fallen out of a little clip that's up on the body up there. I think you can see it. My light is a bit of a challenge here. So yeah, so there's like a little black clip up there. It broke, so that cable fell down, and when it fell down, it was resting on the axle while it was spinning. So you can see right there, it kind of nicked it. I gotta get some electrical tape and put on that so that that is no longer a problem. I lost all my electrical tape, all my tape in the flood, and I just haven't had a need for it, so I haven't bought it. So I'm replacing as I go. But that's just a little by the way. So we're all done. Diff is ready to go. Come back next time and see what the next project is.